Hey everyone, today we will be making some excellent blueberry muffins. I'll take you through step by step so you can see the process. I'll also post the recipe below in the comment section for anybody who wants to follow along. Hopefully the video makes it a bit easier. Enjoy the muffins. So first things first, we've preheated the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's all ready to go by the time we get done mixing up all the ingredients. First thing, we will add the dry ingredients to the mixing bowl here. We will need 3 cups of all-purpose flour and 1.5 cups white sugar, 1 teaspoon salt, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and we'll get all that in there ready to go. We have our 3 cups of flour added. Now for the 1.5 cups of white sugar. Now for the teaspoon of salt. And then 4 teaspoons of baking powder. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just like to mix up the dry ingredients. Get it all ready for the wet ingredients, which will come next. So for the wet ingredients, I usually take a measuring cup, 2-cup measuring cup, and then we'll add them right into there. We will be using 2/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, and 2/3 of a cup milk. I typically just use almond milk, don't use regular milk because my wife doesn't like it. So almond milk works fine. I'm sure some sort of soy milk or something else would work as a substitute if you prefer to use that. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do here is add your 2/3 cup of vegetable oil into your measuring cup. Oil, 2 eggs, and then you're going to want to fill the measuring cup up to the 2-cup line with your milk. And we are shooting for a certain consistency with this, so once we mix this all up with the dry ingredients, you can kind of eyeball things and see if it has a consistency if you would like. If you don't like the consistency, just add a little bit more milk, but we'll find that out once we get it all going together. Everybody's baking measurements are a little bit different, so if it's a little bit too thick, just add a bit more milk. So now we're in the KitchenAid mixing bowl, have the attachment on it. We're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry. I'll just turn this on the lowest speed. and slowly pour in my mixture of milk, oil, and the eggs. So we will just add a little bit of milk until I can get the consistency that I like. A little bit too thick yet, so we will add a little bit more milk. Easy enough to make adjustments as we go along. That's more of a consistency that I like, kind of like a cake batter. So hopefully you can see that all right. Next step will be to add the blueberries, which will be 2 cups. I use wild blueberries because they're a little bit smaller and they just mix up a little bit better. I do things to a pastry bag to make filling the muffin containers a little bit easier. So we'll do that step next. Okay, so we are ready to add the 2 cups of blueberries. Some people insist on folding them in. I just pour them in and mix it all together. Turns out just fine, so do what you prefer. But I just get the mixer going again and then dump in the blueberries. That's good enough. I'll do the rest by hand. I'll get a spatula. Clean off my attachment here. And then we'll mix it in the rest of the way by hand just so we get a real good mix of the blueberries and batter and everything else. Don't want anything to go to waste. Try to scrape it off as good as I can. And then we'll just mix it up the rest of the way. Kind of scrape the sides a little bit. Make sure you get everything mixed up the rest of the way. All right, pretty good there. But see that consistency, that's kind of what you're aiming for. At least that's how I like to do it. Pipes out of the pastry bag really well then and forms into the muffin cups really well. So next step, we will fill the pastry bag and pipe the batter into the muffin cups. All right, so the next step, you'll just want to spray your paper cups with some cooking spray. You can either use regular stuff. I use butter flavor because it just adds a bit more flavor. So works pretty well just to spray from a bit of a distance and you can get a good coating on the cups. Next thing we'll do is fill the pastry bag and then fill the cups with the batter. Okay, so we have the pastry bag beyond full. Lift that out. And start filling the cups. Usually I don't fill them very full, probably just over halfway. You can always add more down the road once you get them all filled up to fine tune things. First couple are a little bit tough because I don't want my batter to come out of the top of the pastry bag. Could maybe make it easier by filling the pastry bag 2 times, but I just do it once. Just be real careful with it so you don't get batter all over the place. But it'll all work out. Little blueberry wants to come out. There we go. And I'll stop the video here and start it once I get these all filled up. Alright, so we have the muffin cups all filled up as far as they need to be. Next step is going to be mixing the topping together for them. And for that, we'll do the next step. Topping consists of 1 cup white sugar, 2/3 cup all-purpose flour, and 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then after it's all said and done, we take a stick of butter, cube it up, and then add that to the top of it. So we'll mix that up next. All right, so 2/3 cup flour. And this doesn't need to be extremely accurate. 2/3 cup flour, 1 cup of sugar, and then 3 teaspoons of sugar. I'm sorry, cinnamon. 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'll take the fork again. Mix these up pretty well. I used to eat a topping like this on my English muffins when I was little. My mom would make English muffins with raisins in them, and we'd put butter on the top and then sprinkle some sugar and cinnamon all over them. They were so good. I think that's why I like these muffins so much. They remind me of that. So, as you can see, pretty well mixed here. Then I'll just take a spoon and put this on the tops of the muffins. So what we're going to do next is open up our stick of butter. I typically use salted butter. You can use unsalted butter also. Put on the plate. Pretty much cut it in half. Fold it open. Cut that in half. And again, this doesn't really need to be accurate, just kind of gives you an idea. And then little chunks of your butter. And these will go on top of all the muffins. So we'll show you now. Usually I'll just start out, depending on the chunks of butter, put them on top of the batter, like that. Usually I'll put one in each cup, and then when it's all said and done, we'll see which ones look like they're lacking some butter, and then divvy up the remaining butter in them. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of definitely want every piece of muffin to have some butter on it. So I will do this, and we'll go on to the next step of putting the topping on. So now that we have the butter on top of the muffins and batter, we just take the sugar, cinnamon, flour mixture, kind of cover everything up. I like using a spoon for this, kind of keeps it a little bit more neat. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just trying to make sure that you get pretty good coverage on here. A lot of it'll kind of melt and mix in, so works out really well in the long run. And again, just pretty much make sure you have enough to cover everything, and you can go over afterwards and fine tune it. If you have a little bit of sugar, cinnamon, and flour mixture left, you can go back over the muffins that don't have quite as much as the other ones do. But this is the final step before it gets put into the oven, and we'll finish doing this and come back then. So with the oven preheated to 400 degrees, the next step is to put these in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Usually I check mine after about 22, 23 minutes. Take one tray out, poke a toothpick in it. If the toothpick comes out clean, you know, other than a blueberry casualty, if you hit that, it won't come out clean, obviously, but you just want to keep them in there until there's no batter that transfers onto the toothpick. That tells you that they're done. Everybody's oven will be a little bit different, so this is a very important step. Again, preheat to 400 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes. Might take a few minutes less, might take a few minutes longer. It's just important to check. So being the first time, if you're doing this for the first time, definitely check after about 20 minutes, just see how things look. You can just open up the oven door, turn on the light, look at them. You can see if they're starting to get firm and baked all the way through. If they do look like they're baked, they've risen and everything, maybe take some out, one sheet out, poke a toothpick in one of the middle ones, just see what it looks like. So we will throw these in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Like I said, usually I've done this so many times, I do it about 22, 23 minutes and I check. So that is what we'll do now. All right, first one's in. Second sheet in. Set timer for 22 minutes and we will be good to go. So here's the finished product. Took about 24 minutes and poked a toothpick in a few of them. Came out clean every time, so I'll let them sit here for about 5 minutes to somewhat cool off. Then I'll transfer them over to my cooling racks and eat them as soon as possible. Alright, that's all everyone. Hopefully you enjoy this video. Hopefully it helps you make these muffins, and hope everyone in your family that tries them enjoys them. Gotten really good feedback about them, so wanted to make a video just to show you how it's done, and like I said, enjoy. I know I will be in a few minutes. Thanks everyone.